Hey everybody, I'm Jack, and this is Raw Tropical Living. Thanks for joining me today. Hope everybody had a very nice Wednesday out there. Good hump day on the way on the downswing towards the weekend. I tell you what, I don't like to wish time away, but I really am looking forward to it getting later over into September where we start shaking off some of this just super intense hot weather. We've amped back up. We've been over the last 2 or 3 days. Our heat index has been back over 100, but anyhow, it's all good because I stay hydrated. Today I want to talk about the raw food diet, food addictions, and cravings. Guys, I do videos every day, so if you have not already subscribed to the channel, I'd appreciate if you go hit that subscribe button and come back and check out some more of my videos. And also in the description below is the store, rawtropicallivinggear.com. I've got another one of my No Mud, No Lotus shirts on today, and if you'll go down there, I'll actually have a direct link to the No Mud, No Lotus shirt. Okay, so addiction and cravings. Look, I'm going to try to be as sensitive as possible here, but I may not be the best source out there for people that are super sensitive, uber sensitive, and all up in their feels all the time, because I don't like to be censored, and I don't like to be like, oh, maybe I shouldn't say this, maybe I shouldn't say that. You know, I'm kind of a, I don't know, a straightforward type person. Like like we didn't even listen. I'm 55 years old. Back when I was growing up, and I'm still, that's what it means to me. A trigger was something on a gun. Now everybody's got a trigger, and they'll make you feel bad sometime. Well, you pulled my triggers, or that's a trigger for me. So, if this is a sensitive subject for you, just to let you know. Food addiction, I don't know. I've kind of riled people in the past by kind of joking a little bit by saying, okay, if food addiction is so real, go to a 12-step meeting with some real addicts and tell them that and see what they say. See what a crackhead or a meth head or something says to you. But I do see cases of what I do consider actual food addiction and some very serious cases of food addiction out there. So yeah, it definitely exists within the range of the psychological spectrum of different disorders or things within the brain and within the body. And I see it more so, there's a lot of these shows out there that are just not good being out there putting this in people's minds. Some of these shows that just glorify getting bigger and bigger and bigger, where these people are just shoveling some food in their mouth. And you do see when you start getting, I think I see a lot more real food addiction when I get up into the people that are, when you get up into the people that are 100, 200, several hundred pounds overweight. But there's also some different things that come into play that people have, guess what I'm roundabout trying to say is, yes, I believe food addictions exist. But like many, many, many things out there, I think people are exaggerating. I think everybody wants to claim, oh, I have a food addiction. That's what makes it tough for me. Because if you have a food addiction, if you have an addiction to anything, it kind of gives you a little bit of a reason, a little bit of an excuse why it's tougher for you than everybody else. So, as not to step on the sensitive toes, yes, food addictions exist, but I think a lot of, how do I say this? A lot of the content you see from raw food around the subject of raw food and food addiction is kind of nonsense in my way of thinking. I mean, I watch a few videos on this from time to time just to be curious. Sometimes I just want to see what other people that do raw food diet videos have to say about it. And I think what's being called addiction, I'm like, sorry, no. Okay, if you binge and you can't keep yourself from going out and eating 3 pieces, a bucket of pizzas, a bucket of chicken, and a gallon of ice cream, that's food addiction. Okay, cheese. I have done some more reading on that, and there are factors to cheese that are, that hit those pleasure centers in the brain. But come on, when we're talking about you have an addiction to cooked food, and a lot of times people will say, oh, I fell off the wagon and I gave in to my addiction, and they didn't even eat anything all that bad. I'm kind of like, it's more likely like you just have deeper programming because we've eaten cooked food for most of our life. I don't know though. Maybe so. Maybe so. Because I know I know I don't have a food addiction, because a lot of people will say when it comes to the raw food part of it, well, oh yeah, I have to be 100% fully raw, because it's a slippery slope. And I know people that have even been eating like this for years and years and years have not had one bite of cook. It's a slippery slope. If I eat one bite, I'm going to slide back. I think that's why people don't really understand me, and that's why I exist kind of in a middle ground. There's the people that are, fully raw. There's the people that aren't trying to be raw. And then there's kind of like me, that just goes from all over the place. I could do it right now. We could go back down to Costa Rica, and I could almost tap out with my other persona. I could go straight to Costa Rica. I could get on the plane tomorrow, go straight back to Costa Rica, and I would be eating at the beach, and I would be eating nothing but raw. I'd be eating such high fruit that I would eventually and now that I've been stuck here in the States for a couple of years, I would probably 2 or 3 months being back in the tropics have to go, okay, you got to eat some you got to eat some different food. You can't just eat minor meals of fruit all day. But even here, it just doesn't, I don't feel that falling off the wagon effect. Like yesterday, I had sweet potatoes and collard greens. I'm not sitting around today going, oh, I need some cooked food. I ate my normal stuff. I'm about to make a nice green soup after I do this video, and everything is right as rain. Okay, that's neither here nor there what we're going to call things, but let's talk about action. How do you deal with either one? You deal with either one the same way, cravings or food addictions the same way. You simply don't reintroduce whatever your problem is back into your system. I don't care how long you've been. These little games you play, if it's really an addiction or even just a craving you want to get rid of it. Don't play these little games with yourself. Well, I can eat a bite, I can do this or that. Think about a cigarette. You stop smoking, and some of this depends on how long you smoke. It's not quite the same as food, but you stop smoking. You can stop smoking for 2 weeks, a month, 2 months, sometimes several months, and you're good. And then you're like, okay, well, and I've done this so many times. Well, I can smoke a couple of cigarettes. I'm not going to start back. And you just get that nicotine back in your system, and it just stirs things up, and you want it more and more and more. Whether that's physical, whether it's psychological, and with the cigarettes, it's a little bit of both, and also with the food, it can be a little bit of both. But bottom line, I like to keep things simple. We can go through all these steps and all these things you need to do. Don't put the offending whatever it is back into your system. Think one of the most effective things I can think about, you say, okay, but how not to? Don't keep it around the house. If something, let me challenge you this. If you're going to be all food addiction is real, whatever you're claiming you're addicted to, don't ever have it in your house again. Just don't have it in your house, because addiction's serious. And you might say, well, I have other people in the house. Well, I think families, people that live together, if you were an alcoholic, people would be okay with, okay, he's an alcoholic. There needs to be no booze in this house. If I drink booze, I'll drink it away. So if you're addicted to something, claim you're addicted to something, don't keep it in your house. Number 2, I would say, and whether it's addiction or cravings, come up with something that's maybe similar, that's not bad. I mean, obviously, if it's something, animal products that you're addicted to or you have a big craving for, obviously think of just something that's plant-based that you can substitute for that. But the sweet, there shouldn't be a whole lot of having to substitute for that, because we satisfy our sweet tooth every day. But even so, some people, it's not enough just to eat the fruit, like to eat mangoes or whatever. That's why I'm always recommending the banana and ice cream. I think the banana and ice cream is perfect for people that need more sugar, that need actually something that is similar to what they used to have. So ice cream is the best thing, and you can make tons of different varieties of it. You can add flavors to it. You can make chocolate syrup to go with it. You can use cacao. You can make chocolate chip with cacao nibs. Just so many possibilities. The same, I think, we've got the sweets and we got the salties. So come up with some some things that, will help you deal with that salty craving that you might have. There's celery. You can use celery in recipes to get away from the salt. If it's a chips type thing, kale chips or other vegetable chips, zucchini chips. And somebody else say, well, I don't have a dehydrator. Well, you ain't got to be pure. You can, if you really want to, you can dehydrate something in your oven. You might go above the holy temperature of is it 108 or 118? I think it's 118. You might go a little, your oven may not go that low, but you can make yourself some kale chips. Bottom line is try to come up with something that you can substitute for that. But like I said, I don't have like this list. I hope you're not disappointed. Oh, well, I thought there was going to be this whole little program of how to do this. Whatever you have to do, just do not put the offending, whatever it is, into your mouth. And if you do, I'm not big on being guilty afterwards, but you just get rid of the guilt and I'm not going to do it again. And every time you fall off that proverbial wagon, that's when you think, okay, why did I fall? Do a little, go inside a little bit. What made me fall? What made me eat this thing that I didn't want? And maybe you can avoid certain triggers or whatever it is in the future that would make you give in to eating this way. But in the end, it's just like I say, you just got to keep it out of your body. If something, it's kind of like going through, okay, if we're going to talk about it as addiction, it's kind of like going through detox. Maybe, when people go through detox for heroin or go through detox for pills, it's rough. I hear the detox is very, very rough. So if it's a true addiction, it may be tough to get through. It's probably going to be tougher psychologically on you than it is physically, but just by any means necessary. Do whatever you got to do. If you got to tell somebody else, hey, like if you see me eat this, smack me in the back of the head, whatever you've got to do. But do whatever you have to do not to put whatever this substance is into your mouth. And for things that are probably just cravings, that's why I just come up with recipes that will satisfy this craving. But yeah, and also too, like I say, for some people out there, I don't want you to necessarily jump on a bandwagon, because if you see too many people talk about it, you might convince yourself, well, I'm addicted to this, so I can't help it, I can't give it up. But anyhow, I'm not a specialist on that kind of stuff. Just somebody had sent me a personal message about that through email, so I just thought I would talk about it from my limited perspective on it. Addiction is one of those things you guys have heard me talk about. I was a drunk for 30 years, but I don't consider myself an addict, because it was just it was an action. It wasn't the disease of addiction, because when I decided I had enough, I just had enough. When I decided I was vegan, I was vegan. Didn't do things perfectly, but I was vegan. But anyhow, hope you guys enjoyed this video today. If you like it, please give me a thumbs up. And I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.